Good evening, all. Today's last session on photography and cinematography, we have Mrs. SUDESHNA Roy to take an interactive session on female spectatorship in mainstream films. We are delighted to have actor and director Mrs. SUDESHNA Roy as a speaker. When it comes to narrating young urban middle class romance and relationships stories without going overboard, no one can match steps with her. Along with her co-director, Mr. Abhijit Guha, who took the previous session, Mrs. Roy has directed several movies which were appreciated internationally and screened at the Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, as well as Kolkata film festivals. May I have a round of applause as I request ma'am to come on podium and take over the session.
Thank you. And I'm delighted to be here to speak to you all because I feel since I'm gaining an experience, therefore I need to meet with the new generation at every point that I can so that I can enrich myself. This is something I've realized that one of the things that I do not believe in is that everything in the past was golden and everything now is nothing but bronze. It will become gold. Whatever is in the past is always, we are very nostalgic, and especially we Bengalis are nostalgic, and we are always deploring the fact that we have passed through Swarnojuk, but now we are in a very bad state. We are not. Turmoil, this kind of self examination is very important. Now, today's subject is female spectatorship. Let me tell you, the South Indian industry, you've all heard about it. When we were young, we were not into South Indian films so much. We were just those who were really interested in cinema, or some of them who were cinema students would talk about Telugu films and Tamil films. But in fact, we always looked down upon them during the 70s and 80s when we were growing up because we didn't think, we thought that all the good films were made in Bengal. But now it has been proved that it is made all over. It's just Amadir Omvuta. And the fact that we did not want to watch. Now, as far as the South Indian film industry is concerned, it is true that their industry is totally commercial and they believe in commercial films passionately. They do not think that, they don't look down upon the commercial films, which we middle class Bengalis do. And the other thing is, South Indian films, especially Telugu film industry, has a huge fan following amongst women. It is a culture with them to go and watch films. I happen to have a lady who used to look after my son from 90s to the new millennium for about 10 or 12 years, who was Telugu. And she was an ardent film watcher. She would watch films all through the day and on television. And when I asked her, she said, when we were young, when I lived in Andhra, in a small village, I forget the name, she said, we used to get up in the morning, get all our housework done, our husbands would go out to work, then they'd come back, we'd feed them, and we had free time then. Instead of sleeping at home, what did they do? These women took their children and went to watch films. And in the evening, they would come back because they could not go for later shows. Men would go on those shows. So there were shows, and there are shows totally for female spectators. So therefore, it is a very big part of the audience is women. But if you If you go to our rural sector when things were brighter than what it is now, you would find mostly men in the audience. Women would come special on special days. Today, of course, things are changing. Now, what has happened is because of television and the OTT and watching at home, the cinemas have all come to the bedrooms. And now, especially television is totally targeted towards a female audience. Sometimes it's retrogressive, sometimes it is progressive. But we must also understand that this progress, or you cannot just bring it in one day. You cannot make changes in one day. You cannot just believe that every woman who is in the rural sector, who are the first generation learners, will just walk out wearing jeans and say, I'm going to go and watch a Mrinal Sen film or a Satyajit Ray film. It takes time. You will find that romance is the best way to get into people. In television, we are always lamenting কি যে শুধু শাশুড়ি বউয়ের আখ্যান হয়. It's true because most of our population, leave alone the few in the cities, the large section, for them, marriage and keeping their marriage going at all costs seems to be the only thing we teach them. From the moment, since I'm also working with child rights, from the moment a child is born, if she's a girl, first of all, everybody is worried about the fact that this includes people from upper middle class and middle class families also, that we have to get our daughter married off. And if a son is born, we have to get the son educated so that he can work and look after us in our old age. Now, this is where we go wrong. Because your children are something that are born out of pleasure, out of love. So you should not expect that they will feed you or they will be a drain on your exchequer. Give them equal opportunities. Very often, say for instance, the most successful film of Ritik Ghotto, which is it? Any of you can tell me? Meghera Katara. What is it? It's a story of a woman's sacrifice. It's a story of a woman giving up love, of being betrayed. And you have men and women both going to watch that. Say, for instance, Shoptapodi. That's a totally commercial film. But there too, it's about a woman's sacrifice. Is it not? So, what do we like to watch? Women like to watch, or audience like to watch women sacrificing. And why do women watch it? Because women feel that, by sacrificing, we are contributing to the society. The moment you have a girl, normal course, if you see a film and you want to, or a television series or an OTT series, if you have a woman wearing slightly revealing clothes and smoking a cigarette or drinking, immediately you think of her as not really one of us. It's only a few who really believe that, yes, that's the way it is. Say, for instance, if you've been to a party, you're all equals, you've all had a few smokes, you've all had a few drinks, and then you're going home. If this is a safe city, yes, it is. But sometimes things do happen. Maybe people from outside also have settled here who are not aware of the culture here. So, as a result, on the road, if somebody teases you or somebody tries to molest you, what happens? The first reaction is, if it's a woman, what is it? What is the reaction? রাতে 12টার সময় একা একা কেন বেরিয়েছিল? And that from people who are aware. আর এইরকম পোশাক পরে বেরোলে তো লোকে করবে জ্বালাতন. Similarly, if a boy wearing shorts, which is pretty revealing, and just a sleeveless t-shirt or a vest comes or is on his way back and he gets accosted by people, what will be the thing? Nothing about কেন এত রাতে বেরিয়েছে. বাবা, শহরের কি অবস্থা দেখ, সাবধানে চলাফেরা করা যায় না. This is the mindset. In cinema also, we put that mindset. And when we fight it, that's when people find it difficult to, but you have to do it. For example, I'm sure Obhijit has talked about our films, but I will talk about my film. First, let me talk about Aparna Sen's 36 Chaurangi Lane. How many of you have watched it? Only you? Please watch it. 36 Chaurangi Lane is about a young boy and a girl who take advantage of their old teacher who lives alone and is totally lonely. So she welcomes them to her apartment or to her house. Because she is lonely, her family has gone off to Australia, so she has no one. So these two come here. And why do they come to this old lady? Because they can get some privacy. Because sometimes the old lady goes out to buy something and then they can make out. When you're young, you don't have places where মানে আমাদের ছোটবেলায় তো আমি দেখেছি লেকেও ছাতা মাথায় দিয়েও প্রেম করা যেত না. আমরাই সেই প্রেমিক প্রেমিকার বিরোধিতা করতাম. আমরাই. We feel that no, this is not, we are so moralistic about it. So there they were. And at the end, the film, I will not talk about the end, but what I'm trying to say, that for us, that I think was the first modern urban film that was made, which talked about people who speak in English, which talked about people who were free, which talked about people who were going in for a different moral value. Before that, you think of it. You think of the because of the situation and the changing society. Because when Rabindranath wrote, he also showed women protesting. But he could not be revolutionary in that sense that they also had affairs. But it was always hidden. It was something that did not come out in the open. Think of a film. Can any of you think of a film before 36 Chaurangi Lane, which talked about, freedom of women, women's desire for sexual love, though it is there. And now that I'm going around in rural sector, I can tell you from 13, 14, we have this sexual urge. And children are trying to explore. We all are. Teenage is where we explore. But we are extremely protectionist. As a result, what happens is if a 17-year-old boy is in love with a 15-year-old girl and the parents find out, then the parents go and say that the 17-year-old boy is trying to seduce my 15-year-old girl. If they catch them holding hands also, they'll tell them that, oh, they've been sexually abusing. He has been. Even if the girl says, no, whatever has happened is what I have consented to, Even then, our POCSO law is so stringent that they do not have a place for romantic love. I can tell you, I experimented with kisses when I was 15. There's nothing wrong in it. We are not ready when we talk about it. When we made our film Cross Connection, we had a byline: Cross Connection, beer aage honeymoon. Now, all of us, while in college, we have all gone out with boyfriends telling lies to parents. Even today, it is done. Some parents are more proactive, like me, perhaps, because I've done it myself. So I remember that when my son, who was all of 25 and working, had a girlfriend, and the two of them had saved money to go to Bangkok for a holiday. Nowadays, things are different. Amadishwan Mushirabad was the limit. But now things have changed. So since he had saved some money, and so had the both of them were about the same age, they decided to go to Bangkok. And so, my mother, who was very liberal, she said, they're going to Bangkok, but do you know that they're going alone? So I said, if they're going together, how can they be alone? And she said, no, but I thought that they would go with a group of friends. So I said, Ma, what they are going to do alone, as you say, they can do it when they're with a group of friends also. And let me tell you, I also did the same. Only you thought there was safety in groupism. So these are the contexts that are coming out now. These are but you cannot put it on television. You cannot say these things on television. When we did Teen Yari Kotha, which was way back in 2005-06, it was about young men's sexual interest. And it is quite natural that they would have interest. And men do talk like, I'm not supporting it, but it is part of growing up. Even women talk that way. But you portray it on film or television, people will say, hey, এটা বাজে মেয়েরা, তাই এরকম কথা বলে. It's not true. I don't know whether you have ever, do you all watch Netflix? Do you watch the series there? There is a film series called Never Have I Ever. Have any of you watched it? It's about a teenage girl living in California in a school who has lost her father, and she's all of 14 and living in America, and she has a problem. So she goes to the psychiatrist. Two problems. One, her father passed away while she was doing a music concert in a heart attack, and secondly, she's still a virgin. That is her problem. And for us, even if you're 40 years old and unmarried, you are supposed to be a virgin. A woman cannot be free. If you put that in films, immediately there is a kind of uproar. Immediately they'll put adult. We had a big fight with Teen Yari Kotha regarding this. That it shows the male sexist mentality. But we wanted to show it. If something exists, I'm not glorifying it. I'm showing it. And at the end, there is realization. There is magic reality. So put that. I'm not supporting it. But it has to be revealed. It has to be talked about. We cannot brush it under the carpet, or we cannot be like ostriches and dig into the ground and keep our eyes closed saying, Eta hocche na. Eta hoy na. When I first started journalism, which was in 1981. Uh, I started with a Bangla paper, daily paper, which was edited by Gaurkishore Ghosh. Have any of you heard of Gaurkishore Ghosh? Gaurkishore Ghosh is one of our most famous journalists, a Magsaysay Award winner. And during the emergency, he was the emergency in the 70s. Indira Gandhi had uh, put him behind bars. But that did not stop. He was an extremely progressive gentleman, and he started a new paper where he said he would take women 50% force, women force at least. So initially there wasn't 50%, slowly it grew. And he told the ladies who were journalists then, before that, in regular newspapers, there were no women journalists because the regular newspapers came under the Wage Board Act. That is the Factories Act. And according to the Factories Act, women are not supposed to do night shifts. But Gaurkishore Ghosh, I am talking about women in Spectator. Why? Because these are the things that we women have gone through. And when we portray these, I want more women to come and watch. Today, we don't have 50% in this auditorium of women. But we need that. When we say that so and so the government should have 33%, but where are those women who are coming forward? So that is what Gaurkishore Ghosh wanted to do. So when we joined, people said that they can't do night shift. They'll have to do only 2 shifts. He said, journalistদের কোনো লিঙ্গ হয় না। Journalist, সবাই সমান. Therefore, all of us did night shifts. There were ladies who were in their 40s, and there was I who had just barely gone into crossed my teens. There were nights when I was with, and the young men who were, it was a Bengali newspaper, there were young men who were very, very bright young men who were my colleagues, and we all, and today they're all very famous journalists. We had a great time during night shifts because at 2:30 the paper went to bed, and that was a new newspaper, so they did not have enough vehicles to drop us home. So we stayed overnight at the office, and the boys were supposed to sleep in the reporting room because there was a huge table on it, and they put their tiffin boxes under their heads and slept there. And the girls were supposed to sleep in the library. Now, this particular office was in a very old house, and which was quite creaky and creepy. So the library was full of books, full of shadows, full of cobwebs, and at night, one could hardly, if I'm a woman alone in that old house, I was extremely scared. So ultimately, the boys said, তাহলে তুই আমাদের সঙ্গেই শো, ভূত এলে আমরা সবাই মিলে তোকে বাঁচাবো. So today I can say I slept with 5 to 6 boys together, but the word slept is actually sleep. If you say that, immediately people will say, no, this girl has no character. The other thing I've realized through the years is that success is what builds character in you. Or gives your stance an official face. Say, for instance, Rituparna Ghosh. When he first started, in 1980s, when I first met him, we used to all say, abar oi meli cheleta esche. I'm talking about 1980s. He was extremely talented. I was his only friend. They said, ki kore shojo korish? People around me. I said, না রে, ও আমাকে খুব ভালো করে মুখস্থ করিয়ে দেয় আমার নাটকের পাঠটা. Slowly, my friendship with him built up, and one day he said, see, my pet name is Chumu. He said, Chumu, I have to be successful. It's only if I'm successful, people will listen to me, people will believe in my stance. Today, he's become a legend. He has made people who have who are trans men, trans women, gay, the LGBTQ community to come out in the open. He had done it over almost 3 decades back. And he has made films. So that film, it's also something which is for female spectators. It's also for men. Because most men are homophobic. And a lot of us who are homophobic, please don't mind, are that way because in our heart of hearts, we know that we are attracted to our same sex. বহুদিন আগে অলোক রঞ্জন দাশগুপ্তর একটা কবিতা পড়েছিলাম, সেখানে উনি একটা লাইন লিখেছিলেন যে মাছেরা পুরুষদের মতো অধিকাংশই সমকামী। You will notice it's not just purush, please, women also. People have patriarchy has created this thing that women together cannot form a group and they are their worst enemies. It is not true. Just as men sit and gossip, women also sit and gossip. Just as men have rivalry, women also have rivalry. But patriarchy has made the women's rivalry something which is lowly, which is gossipy, which is detrimental. Haven't men killed men over rivalry? Over small things, over property, over other women. Yet, when it comes to women, we always make a distinction. Very often, you will notice when men first get married, their bosom friends are very upset because he spends more time with his wife. And they say, বেটা স্ত্রৈণ হয়ে গেছে, বউয়ের পেছনে পেছনে ঘুরছে। আরেকজন বলে দে না, দাঁড়া না, 1 বছর যেতে দে, তারপর দেখবি আবার ল্যাজ গুটিয়ে ফিরে আসবে। Which is something that happens unless of course you marry on your own. You live together and marry, or you have a long courtship and marry. Because then what happens is friends get together, the group gets together. This is the story that I have been trying to, this is the kind of relationships I have been trying to promote through our films. Whether it be Cross Connection 2, Babi Barija, they are all about young people and the changing mores of relationship. When my son was 15 or 16, he suddenly started having girlfriends. So I told him, 15-16 বছরের ছেলেদের আবার গার্লফ্রেন্ড হয় নাকি? He said, তোমাদের সময় হতো না, আমাদের সময় হয়। So that's it. আমাদের সময়ও হতো, কিন্তু আমরা বলতে পারতাম না অত boldly. So he had this girl who would come and who was my friend's daughter. So I said, see, she's coming and I don't stay at home. Neither does your father because we are both working. Just be careful. Don't do anything that would hurt her. He turned around and he asked me, oh, you mean sex? No, we are clever enough to know that's dangerous. We know how to look after ourselves. I said, fine. তারপর আর কিছু বলি। এটা আমি বলছি তার 16, মেয়েটির 15 বা 16.5, সরি 16.5, ও একটু বড় ছিল ওর থেকে। তারপরে হয়ে গেল, কিছুদিন পর আমি দেখি ও খুব মন খারাপ করে, he's sitting there and he asks me, I will make a film about these things. That I said, what happened? Why are you so upset? He said, because I've realized that at this age we can't have a permanent relationship. I can't promise her that I will marry her because it's still so far away. So I said, that's good. Tomar shubho buddhi hoyeche. So why are you so upset? He says, I don't know how to tell her. Because she'll be very upset, which is true. And I realized that I have brought up a son who knows how to deal with empowered women, who knows how to deal with women. So I said, the best thing you can do is go and tell her, let her feel a little sad, but tell her that this is why you cannot. So he went, and for the next 1 week, he was very upset. He stayed at home. His friends came, but he said, even my friends are saying you've let this girl down and things, but I don't know what to do. Anyway, 10 days later, I came home early and I found that same girl there. The other boys were also there, but she was there along with another girl also and things. So I called my son and I said, I thought you'd broken up with her. He said, yes, she used to be my girlfriend. Now she's just a friend. So relationships change. These should be the subjects that we talk about. These should be what we present. These should be inculcated in women, in girls, through television series also. Instead of, you know, showing female rivalry, এ ওকে বিষ খাওয়াচ্ছে, ওর বাচ্চাকে ক্ষতি করছে, ওর নামে পিছনে বলছে. These are just archetypal patriarchal prototypes. এটা হয় না আমি বলছি না, হয়, কিন্তু এর বিরোধিতা করতে হবে. এর বিরুদ্ধে দাঁড়িয়ে অন্যটাও দেখাতে হবে. আজকে যেমন if you say and denigrate a woman because of the way she dresses, there are women who stand up. You cannot say at a drop of a hat, you cannot denigrate a woman by the way she's wearing her sari or whether she's revealing her midriff or not. We never do that with men. When men wear shorts or when men wear lungi, and sometimes it's very obscene, when they go around without anything on top. And very often I've seen পাড়ায় কোনো ইয়ে হচ্ছে, চুলকোতে চুলকোতে কথা বলছে. That's not obscene. But if I just do this and একটু স্ট্র্যাপটা ঠিক করলাম, অমনি লোকের চোখ ওটার দিকে পড়বে. These are the little things. I remember a film. Have any of you watched Raj Chakraborty's বোঝে না সে বোঝে না? সেখানে একটা সিন ছিল আমার খুব ভালো লেগেছিল, যেখানে this pile comes to the city and she gets onto a cab where there are other girls, and there is this girl wearing a small sleeveless t-shirt tank top and her bra strap is showing. That's very normal nowadays. So this girl suddenly sees, she's from a semi-urban area, so she sees and she says, hey, তোমার bra strap টা বেরিয়ে গেছে, বলে she tries to put it back in. And this other girl, she is talking on the phone and she says, oh, look at this khati stupid girl, she thinks I have to hide my bra strap. The fact that today we can openly talk about bra straps, we can openly talk about menstruation, is because women have protested and stood up. Today, I work with the Child Rights Commission. I'm not going to give you a lecture on that, but what I'm trying to say is I look after the rights of children, our commission, till the age of 18. So we very often go to adolescent classes with adolescent children, class 8 থেকে 11-12 অবধি. And we talk about various things, including sexual abuse and menstruation. You'll be surprised to know that even in a rural setup, boys no longer snigger when you talk about mashik. Girls don't feel ashamed if boys are there, because boys also have to know this is a natural process. I remember I had an assistant. This is years back in the early 90s when I was a younger person. And we had gone to a village where for recce. And it was a very remote place, and we were staying at this assistant's house. So while coming back on the bike with him, and Obhijit was on another bike, suddenly I realized that I was menstruating. So I didn't know. When I got off, I found there was blood stains. So I was very embarrassed. But I was really, really charmed by this young man who was then young, now no longer. So he said, "Don't worry, even my mother and sisters menstruate. I'll get you what you need. You go and sit in the house, wait, আমি শহর থেকে নিয়ে আসছি." He cleaned the bike, took the bike, and went away. So that was the natural reaction. But it's our Victorian upbringing, which often doesn't let us talk about these things. Even in films. You watched Rituparno's Chokhir Bali? Have any of you watched it? Yeah. You remember that scene when Aishwarya Rai in the rain gets up and there are blood stains? People felt embarrassed by it. It had a natural procreate. So through films, you have to show these. These are small things. If you watch 36 Chorangi Lane, that was perhaps the first film where we found Devosri in just a bra trying to bring something down. And that was a scene, everybody মানে গেল গেল র সবার নাকি চরিত্র খারাপ হয়ে যাবে। That is where through cinema, and I think Aparna Sen is, though it's not because I have worked with her, but I feel she's one of the most modern filmmakers. If any of you can, when it comes out, there is a film that she has made which won an award in Busan called The Rapist. And that film is something that will make you really sit up. It's a film about a rapist's mentality. Why does a man become a rapist? Why is it that men misbehave with women? Because that's what they see in their houses. It is something which is very common occurrence. You talk to any working woman, working class woman. আজকেই কথা হচ্ছিল যেখানে আমি ডাবিং করছি, this woman is working there and I'm so proud that she has taken up this job. She said, হ্যাঁ প্রেম করে বিয়ে করেছি, তারপরে এমন মারতো না যে আমি আর থাকিনি, ছেলে মেয়েকে নিয়ে আমি চলে এসেছি, নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়িয়েছি, আর বাবা মার 4 মেয়ে, আমি এক মেয়ে বাড়িতে থাকায় আমি বাবা মাকে দেখাশোনা করতে পারছি। এইটা যদি তুমি দেখাও, people will not like it. সিরিয়াল হিট হবে না। যে একটা মেয়ে বরকে ছেড়ে দিয়ে নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়িয়ে বাবা মাকে দেখছে, বরকে শোধরাচ্ছে না, শোধরানো যায় না। Because what you can do is the next generation, you can make them understand. Therefore, these are I'm not saying I'm a woman, but everybody thinks that তুমি মহিলা, তুমি woman centric ছবি করবে, কেন? There are lots of men who have made women centric films. So why should I be? That's again something patriarchy wants you to do. Only look at the woman's point of view. Why? Why not the male point of view also? When I first joined the commission, initially we always talked to women and their problems. Trafficking of women, sexual abuse of women. Would you believe it? 52.5% men interviewed in 2007, grown men, said that they had been sexually molested when they were children or growing up. But most men can't come and tell. A woman can at least tell people যে আমাকে রেপ করেছে আমাকে মেরেছে মাকে হোক বন্ধুকে হোক. Men don't even tell it to the friends. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are men. How can they be molested? It is there. And these are the things that I feel more and more modern cinema should talk about, more and more freely. I would like you to ask me questions. Since this is supposed to be an interactive session, it would be great if you could comment on the kind of films that you all have watched recently and what you liked. Any film that you all have watched very recently? It can be English, Bengali, Hindi, Spanish. Yes, please, Shobhi.
Few days back I watched Oppenheimer. So what happened in Oppenheimer? In a specific scene, I've seen that Indian censor would have censored a scene where a girl was naked, and Indian censor would have censored the scene. Because the thing is, if I mean, it's only for India. But the thing is, India doesn't want to be grown up in terms of.
They don't want to be adults.
Yeah.
Good. When we were doing Teen Yari Kotha in 2006, my film was censored thrice. And fourth time, there was a board. Say in a censor board, normally 5 people watch the film. Along with but there are about, the total board consists of 15 people or 16 people. So, যার যেমন সময় আছে সেই হিসেবে দেখে 5 জন করে. So, our film was watched by the first 5 and then they said you have to cut. So we said if you're giving us an adult certificate, why do we have to cut? Because that was the first film where language of the subaltern was used. Language where the way men speak. আমাকে একজন মহিলা বললেন যে এই দেখেছেন কি খারাপ খারাপ কথা এরা বলছে হ্যাঁ আপনি কি করে আপনি একজন মহিলা যিনি and this is in 2004 when I was a মহিলা 2005 so যে এরকম আপনার সামনে ওরা বললো ওদের লজ্জা করলো না যে দেখুন প্রথমত আমি তো ক্যামেরার পিছনে আর আলোটা ওদের উপরে তাই ওরা আমাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছিল না আর দ্বিতীয়ত ধরুন আপনি আর আপনার স্বামী কোথাও বেড়াতে গেছেন হ্যাঁ আপনারা নতুন গাড়ি কিনছেন গাড়িটা একটা জায়গায় পার্ক করা আছে একটা বাস এসে গুদুম করে মেরে দিল তখন আপনার স্বামী গিয়ে কি বলবে ওকে কি ভাষায় কথা বলবে বলুন তো ভাই ছেলেরা যখন নিজেদের মধ্যে কথা বলে ওর ওই বইটা যে আমরা জানি না তোমরা কেউ তিনিয়ারি দেখেছো কিনা please watch if you can there was a sequence there where this boy has bought a book magazine যেখানে bare chested একজন মহিলা রয়েছে তো কেন মারপিট করছে আর গালাগাল করছে যে বইটা দেখতে রেখে গিয়েছিল রাতের বেলায় ওই যে মশার ধূপ was placed on top of it so both the nipples got burnt so he was so angry he called his friend Lord's choicest of galis এটার উপরে প্লিজ এটার উপরে আমি তখন আমাকে লোকে মনে করছে আমি খুব ভদ্র মহিলা এখনো যেরকম তোমরা মনে করছো আমাকে এটা নিয়ে একটা লেকচার দিতে হয়েছিল ইয়েতে নন্দনে জীবনানন্দ সভাগৃহে সেখানে সুনীল গঙ্গোপাধ্যায় ছিলেন তখন একটা কাগজ ছিল প্রমা বলে সুরজিৎ বাবু ছিলেন, ইয়াং বোধহয় শ্রীজাতও ছিল, জয় গোস্বামীও ছিলেন, তো এরকম সুবোধ ছিল, তো এরকম কিছু বাংলার লোকজন আমার মনে পড়ছে। তো তখন আমি বলেছিলাম যে হ্যাঁ, কি আমরা আমাদের ছেলেরা হয় একে বোকাচোদা বলেছে নয় বাঞ্চোদ বলেছে। তখন কথা হলো যে এইটা কি বাংলা, না এটা আমরা বাইরে থেকে হিন্দি থেকে নিয়েছি। তখন ক্রমাৎ সুরজিৎ বাবু উঠে দাঁড়িয়ে বললেন, চোদা কথাটা চোদন থেকে এসেছে, যেটা এসেছে প্রচোদয় থেকে, যেটা আমাদের গায়ত্রী মন্ত্রে আছে, প্রবল করা। ভাব, দ্যাট ওয়াজ ইট। কিন্তু এখনো একটা ছেলে যদি বোকাচোদা বলে কেউ কিচ্ছু বলবে না, একটা মেয়ে বলুক, পুরো পৃথিবী রসাতলে চলে যাবে। আমরা যখন বাড়িওয়ালি ছবিটা করছি, এটা কিন্তু বাংলায় বেশি, বাড়িওয়ালি ছবিটা করছি, তখন আমাদের হিরোইন ছিলেন কিরণ খের, এবং উনি আমাকে ওর সঙ্গে বাংলায় কথা বলতে হতো, ওনার সঙ্গে আমি থাকতাম। তো উনি আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস, শোনো আজকে কত নম্বর কি কি সিন আছে, আমি বলতাম 22 নম্বর, 24 নম্বর, 30 নম্বর, আচ্ছা और कौन कौन बाकी है, তো আমি বলতে লাগলাম এখনো 11 বাকি আছে, 14 বাকি আছে, 16 বাকি আছে, 45 বাকি আছে, এরকম কথা চলছে। করতে করতে লাস্ট দিন যখন এসেছে, তখন বলছে আজ क्या होगा। তা আমি বললাম আজকে 12 আর 14। বলে আজ তো মুঝে 14 का, 14 তো करना है। এটা একজন হিরোইন বলছে। ওটা ওরকমই, ওরা ওরমই কথা বলে। ইট ইজ দেয়ার হ্যাবিট। কিছুদিন আগে একটা ছোট্ট ইয়ে দেখলাম, পাঞ্জাবে যেরকম উইমেন ড্রিঙ্ক, দে ড্রিঙ্ক, আমাদের এখানে মহিলা ড্রিঙ্ক করছে, বাবা টোটাল চরিত্রহীন, অ্যালকোহলিক। আরে একটা ছেলে মাতলামি করতে পারে, একটা মেয়ে মাতাল হতেই পারে, হোয়াটস রং, হতেই পারে, আমার খেয়ে ভাল লাগলো। আমি এইরকম একটা অ্যাটমসফিয়ারে মানুষ হয়েছি, যেখানে আমরা পুলিশের সঙ্গে, আমার এক বান্ধবী একটা পার্টির পর নিউ আলিপুরে, এটা আমি বলছি 1984, 82, 83, 84 হবে। হ্যাঁ, সেই সময় আমরা পার্টিতে গেছি জার্মান একজন ভদ্রলোকের বাড়িতে। ওরা ওর স্ত্রী ছিলেন ব্রাজিলিয়ান, সো শি গেভ আস সামথিং শর্টস, যেটা ওই যেরকম আমরা শর্টস খাই না, ইয়ে শর্টস কি বলে ওটাকে, নামটা বলছে ভডকা শর্টস বলো, বা ছোট ছোট গ্লাসে। তো এটা ছিল ব্রাজিলিয়ান দেশি মদের শর্টস। সেটা খেয়ে, তো আমাদের একজন বান্ধবী ছিল একটু, শি গট আ লিটল হাই, সো শি সেড আমি বাইরে গিয়ে দাঁড়াচ্ছি, আমার মাথাটা ইয়ে করছে, আমি বাইরে দাঁড়াচ্ছি। সো শি ওয়েন্ট আউট এন্ড স্টুড আউটসাইড। While she was outside, and we were just saying bye. While she was outside, suddenly we heard her screaming. So her husband, who was also there, and very, very progressive couple, he went out, and then we heard both of them shouting. So both of us, all of us came up, and we found that the husband was fighting with a policeman. There's a halda gadi which had come, which was asking initially, পরে জানতে পারলাম যে initially মহিলাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছে আপনি একা এখানে দাঁড়িয়ে আছেন কেন। ভালো কথাই জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, কিন্তু হাই ছিল তো, বলেছে এটা কি আপনার বাপের সম্পত্তি, আমি এখানে রাস্তায় দাঁড়িয়ে আছি, আপনার বাবার কি। বলে না আমরা পুলিশ। বলে এই বলে পুলিশ বলে ও ওকে বলেছে আপনি আপনার কোথায় যাবেন আমরা পৌঁছে দেব। ও এরম ভাবে ওর জামাটা ছিঁড়ে ফেলেছে। আমরা যতক্ষণে গেছি তখন ওদের দুজনকেই পুলিশ হল্লা গাড়িতে তুলছে। তো আমরা বললাম ছেড়ে দিন, এই করছেন। তখন বলছে এই লেডি ওম্যান, মানে লেডি হচ্ছে আমার ওম্যান, জানেন দেখেন, বলে আমাকে দেখাচ্ছে যে ওর নখ ছিল ওর এখানে চিড়ে গেছে পুলিশের। অনেক কষ্টে ওদের সেদিন বাঁচিয়েছিলাম। বলে মহিলারা এরকম ড্রিঙ্ক করে। কদিন আগে সেম জিনিস আমাকে বলেছে, ওই মহিলা তো বুঝলেন তো ওর সঙ্গে খারাপ ব্যবহার করেছে, উনি একটু ড্রাঙ্ক ছিলেন, তো ড্রাঙ্ক থাকলে তার সঙ্গে খারাপ ব্যবহার করবো। These are the sentiments that we have to expose through films. I know it's pretty late and it's almost 6:30, but thank you for your patient hearing. If you have anything else, anybody else wants to say or ask, I'm open. I hope uh, I'm not an academic person. I speak from the heart and with passion and with practicality. So if you thought that this was an academic discussion, no. I like audience response. I'm a very commercial person. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for this amazing session. We have Mr. Deep Haldar from BAMS and Woos, our guest partners. He will honor Mrs. Roy on behalf of JUBC with a small token of that. BAMS and Woos are the gift partners of Montage 2024.
Thank you. Thank you. Got it. আসেন করে কাজ তো আমাদের উত্তরবঙ্গের পাঠ
With this, the second day of sessions on photography and